Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Dark Paladin deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck was actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Wesley. And this deck is an amazing deck that summons out one of my favorite fusion monsters ever created, Dark Paladin, which is just such a cool nostalgic card. I have some really spicy tech cards in this build for you guys, so without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. And definitely give Wesley some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So let's get straight on into this one, guys. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Dark Magician, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. This card is an awesome 2 in the deck that you're going to be using all the time to summon out your copy of Dark Paladin. We then play 2 copies of Buster Blader. Buster Blader is a definite 2 in the deck because we do play a Buster Blader engine in this deck, so we can summon out the awesome Buster Blader fusion monster alongside our copies of Dark Paladin. We then play 3 copies of Magician Souls. Magician Souls is a crazy powerful 3-of in the deck that can instantly summon Dark Magician directly to your side of the field, which is really good. This card also lets you draw cards because it has the ability that while it's on your side of the field, you can send up to 2 spells or traps from your hand or your side of the field to the grave and then draw that many cards, which is really good to help you dig into the deck. But this card also has the ability, if this card's in your hand, you can send 1 level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the graveyard to activate one of these effects. Either special summon this card or send this card to the grave and then special summon Dark Magician from your graveyard, which is usually the card you're going to send to the graveyard to activate this effect, so you can instantly special summon Dark Magician. We then play 3 copies of Buster Whelp. Buster Whelp is the best normal summon in the entire deck because this card has a great ability that when this card is normal summon, you can add a Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, which is usually going to be your copy of Prologue that you're going to be searching off this card's effect, so you can start going in for your Buster Blader engine. This card is amazing in this deck as a 3-of. We then play a single copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. This card is awesome to be able to equip to one of your Buster Blader monsters to lock your opponent out of the extract, which is just really good in this particular build. This card is a great 1-of in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. Keeper of Dragon Magic is an awesome 3-of in the deck as well. If this card is normal or special summon, you can discard a card to add a Polymerization normal spell card or a Fusion normal spell card from your deck to your hand, which is awesome for this deck because we have plenty of fusion spells we can search from Magicalized Fusion, Polymerization, and even some really spicy cards like Fusion Deployment can be searched out with this card. But this card can bring back your fusion materials back to your side of the field as well, because you reveal a fusion monster in your extract and then special summon 1 monster whose name is specifically listed on that monster from the graveyard in face down defense position, which is really powerful because you can reveal your copy of Dark Paladin to be able to bring back either a Buster Blader or a copy of Dark Magician back to your side of the field, which is just really good. We then play 3 copies of King of the Swamp. King of the Swamp is really good as a 3-of in this build because it works extremely well with this particular deck because you can use this card as a fusion material to summon out Dark Paladin by using it as either a Buster Blader or a Dark Magician, but you must have the correct fusion material for the other material, which is very easy to do. But this card also searches out Polymerization, which is great because you can discard this card to the grave to add Polymerization from your deck to your hand, giving you a monster in the graveyard to use with Magicalized Fusion and giving you a Polymerization in the hand, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz is really good as a 2-of in the deck because this card just helps out a lot with the branded fusion package we're playing in the deck that helps us get to our copy of Dark Paladin even faster. But this card is great because it's a walking super polymerization, and just using this card with branded fusion is a must. We then play a single copy of Illusion of Chaos. Illusion of Chaos is a really good 1-of in the deck because we do have ways to search it in the form of Preparation of Rites, which is why I just play a single copy in this build. But this card is to search out our copy of Magician Souls directly from your deck to your hand, which is why we play this card as a 1-of in the build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is really good as a 2 of in the deck because it lets you search out your copy of Illusion of Chaos directly from your deck to your hand so that you can start getting to your copy of Magician Souls even faster. We then play a single copy of Magical Eyes Fusion. Magical Eyes Fusion is great as a 1 of in the deck because it's basically Miracle Fusion for spellcasters, making it even easier to summon out Dark Paladin by just getting the fusion materials into the graveyard. We then play 2 copies of Polymerization. Polymerization is searchable off your copy of King of the Swamp, which is why I bumped this card down to 2 in this build, but this card is really good in the deck as a 2-of, so you can go in for some really powerful cards like Dark Paladin. We then play 3 copies of Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion is really good as a 3-of in this build to help you summon out some really powerful cards like Dark Paladin, or even summon out cards like Red Eye's Dark Dragoon, or your copies of Mirror Jade. This card is really good as a 3-of in the deck and just helps you step into so many different boss monsters, and this card is also searchable off your copy of Keeper of Dragon Magic since it's a normal fusion spell card. We then play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. Fusion Deployment is an amazing 3-of in the deck that you just reveal your copy of Dark Paladin in the extract, and once you do, you can special summon either a Buster Blader or a copy of Dark Magician directly from your deck to your side of the field, giving you one of the materials that you're going to need to summon out your copy of Dark Paladin, which is really good. We then play a 3-of really spicy tech card in this build, and that's going to be 3 copies of the Eye of Timaeus. This card is insane in the deck as a 3-of, and it's just really good because it pretty much with Dark Magician turns into a 2-card Dark Paladin, which is really good. This card lets you target a Dark Magician monster that you control, and then you fusion summon a fusion monster from your extract that lists that monster on the field as a fusion material, using it as a fusion material, which is really good to be able to do because you basically activate this card, target your copy of Dark Magician, and then summon out your copy of Dark Paladin, making it super easy to summon out Dark Paladin directly from your extract since it mentions Dark Magician to be able to summon it out. This card is really good as a 3-of in the deck. It makes it super easy to summon out Dark Paladin to your side of the field. It's just a really awesome card in the deck to be able to summon out Dark Paladin extremely easily, especially with the amount of ways that you can get Dark Magician to your side of the field. For example, your copy of your Fusion Deployment plus your copy of the Eye of Timaeus pretty much equals a copy of Dark Paladin, and your copy of your other cards can basically get to your copy of Dark Magician like Magician Souls to your side of the field, plus a copy of the Eye of Timaeus get you to a Dark Paladin as well, making this card a definite 3-of in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is a definite 2-of in the build because it makes all of your other trap cards in the deck, like your copy of Prologue, essentially 5-ofs in the deck, which is really good for this particular build because you really want to get to your copy of Prologue extremely quickly. And with your copy of Buster Whelp and Trap Trick, it makes it very easy to get to with this particular card, so you can go in for your Buster Blader engine. We then play 2 copies of Destruction Sword Memories. Destruction Sword Memories is a definite 2-of in the deck that you're always going to send to the graveyard off your copy of Prologue, because this card has a great ability. You can banish this card from your graveyard to fusion summon a Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman from your extract by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard, which is a Buster Blader plus a dragon monster to be able to make it, which is super easy to pull off in this deck. This card is a definite 2-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Prologue. Prologue is definitely a 3-of in the deck and probably one of the most powerful cards in this build, because this card has the ability to send a Destruction Sword card, which is going to be Memories, and a copy of a Buster Blader monster from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card to special summon a Buster or Dragon from your extra deck or graveyard, but destroy it during the end phase, which is great to be able to do because it instantly gets you the Buster Blader in the grave and your Fusion Trap in the graveyard, so that you can then banish your copy of Memories and a copy of a Buster Blader and a Dragon to fusion summon out your copy of your Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, which is a crazy powerful boss monster to be able to make in this deck. This engine is really powerful in the build and also just helps you get cards in the graveyard so that you can go in for some really insane plays. This is really awesome in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Dark Paladin. Dark Paladin is my favorite fusion monster ever created in the game, and this card is absolutely crazy because depending on the amount of dragons that are around, this card gets absolutely massive. This card is also a walking spell negate, which is really cool for this particular build, and it's actually the old school version of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and what Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is actually based off of. This card is very easy to be able to summon to your side of the field, and it's just a really cool boss monster. We then play 2 copies of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Dark Dragoon is really easy to summon in this deck with your copies of Branded Fusion, and plus we play a bunch of dragons in the deck, so you pretty much just need to get to a copy of Dark Magician plus any dragon monster to be able to make this card. It's a walking negate, and it's very powerful in this deck because it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target it, and if you put a vanilla monster into this card, you can once per turn pop a monster on the field and then inflict damage to your opponent's life points equal to that monster's attack, which is crazy powerful for this card to have. We then play 2 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. This card is crazy powerful in this deck and super cool to be able to make in this particular build because it has the ability, just takes a Buster Blader plus any dragon type monster to summon this card, and this card cannot attack directly, but this card gains 1,000 attack points and defense points for each dragon type monster that your opponent controls and in their graveyard, and you change all dragon monsters that your opponent controls to defense position. Also, dragon type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects, and this card also does piercing damage, which is really powerful because your copy of Buster Dragon is going to turn every monster on your opponent's side of the field into a dragon, making it really easy to be able to pull off some insane plays with this card to be able to OTK your opponent and make your copy of Dark Paladin even bigger, which is really cool for this deck to be able to do. We then play 2 copies of Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just a really powerful card to be able to play in this deck to be able to deal with cards on your opponent's side of the field, and it's very easy to summon off of Branded Fusion. We then play a single copy of Lubellion. Lubellion is really good in this deck because you have the fusion materials in the graveyard. You can actually put them back into the deck, which is really good to be able to summon out a powerful fusion monster. For example, if you have a copy of Buster Blader and a Dark Magician, you can put them back with your copy of Lubellion's effect and then summon out Dark Paladin, which is why I really like the branded package in the deck, because it's very simple to use and it also helps you get into your copy of Dark Paladin even faster. We then play 2 copies of Albion. Albion's great as a 2-of in the deck because this card is basically a walking miracle fusion, which is just really good and can help you get into some really powerful plays. We play 2 copies of Buster Dragon. Buster Dragon's really good as a 2-of in the deck because all monsters that your opponent control become dragons, which is really good for this deck to be able to do. To pretty much just make all of your opponent's monsters turn into dragons is just really great for this particular deck, especially with your copies of Dark Paladin in this deck, and it's really easy to be able to do to basically just make all of your opponent's monsters become dragons and make your cards like your Dark Paladin and your copy of the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, get absolutely massive. This is a really powerful card in the deck as well because it also has the ability that if you don't control a Buster Blader monster, you can target a Buster Blader in your graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a really good effect. And once per turn, during your opponent's turn, you can target a Buster Blader monster you control and equip with a Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard, which is a quick effect, so you can equip your copy of your Destruction Sword directly to your copy of Buster Blader to lock your opponent out of the extract if you can get it to the graveyard extremely easily in this build. We then play a single copy of Protector Whelp. Protector Whelp is just a great 1-of in the deck. It has the ability, if this card is link summoned, you can send a Destruction Sword card from your deck to the graveyard, then you can special summon Buster Blader from your hand, and at the end of the battle phase, if your opponent controls no monsters, you can target a Buster Blader that you control that did not declare an attack at this turn and inflict damage to your opponent equal that monster's original attack, or equal that monster's attack, which is a great ability to use with your copy of your Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. If it can't attack directly, you can just burn them for damage with this card, which is really good. We then play finally a single copy of Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is really good as a 1-of in this deck because this card helps out a lot in this particular build to be able to just link away one of your monsters to the graveyard so you can actually summon out your copies of your Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. For example, if you normal summon out your copy of Whelp and you need a graveyard or dragon in the graveyard because you have Prologue, you can link it away for your copy of Linkuriboh so that you can get a dragon in the grave, which is really good while also protecting you from attacks, which is just really cool. Another card you can can play in the deck as a copy of the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, which is an option for you guys if you want to drop the copy of the Protector Whelp. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck just for time, but I really like the copy of the Protector Whelp over it in this particular build because we're trying to fusion summon in this deck, but it is a really cool suggestion for the nostalgia factor of this deck. So that's it for this one, guys. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Dark Paladin deck before, you guys should definitely give this deck a try. It is a really fun deck to be able to play, and it's one of my favorite fusion monsters ever created. Like, Dark Paladin is just such a cool card, especially since it won Battle City for Yugi, which is just crazy. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come for our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.